Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be reviewing the new Spanish movie The Hanged Woman for you all. So this film is about a singer's ghost that haunts her former lover's mansion after she hangs herself in the garden. Once reduced to little more than a disposable sexual object, her spirit continues and returns determined to torment the man and his family in a drawn out campaign for revenge. On paper, this is a solid foundation for a bitter personal horror story. In execution, the Hanged Woman never develops the necessary edge or intensity, settling instead for a curiously soft and underwhelming experience that leaves you far more unfulfilled than it actually delivers. The film looks competent on a technical level. The mansion interiors are well lit, the framing is clean, and the overall production design has a certain professional sheen to it. Yet that same polish becomes part of the problem. Sitting down to watch this, I was immediately struck by how closely it resembled one of those Channel 7 midday thrillers they screen at midday here in Australia. The kind of glossy, low stakes domestic drama that American audiences would recognize as a hallmark movie. There are there is an airlessness to the whole presentation, a sense that everything has been smoothed over and made presentable rather than allowed to feel dangerous or unsettling. The result is a film that looks good in the most superficial sense while never once feeling threatening or menacing or scary in any way. Filmmaker's involvement only heightens the sense of mismatch. This is a distributor that has built a reputation on releasing gory, extreme, and often confrontational horror movies. The hangman, the hangman, the hanged woman sits at the opposite end of the spectrum. It is almost aggressively tame in the violence department. A handful of sudden outbursts from the lead actress do register as mild shocks, largely because the surrounding material is so restrained, but they never escalate into anything sustained or truly disturbing. One is left wondering why Filmax attached its name to a project that so thoroughly avoids the kind of visual impact the label is known for. The restraint feels less like a deliberate artistic choice and more like a failure in the release department. The performances are the one area where the film largely succeeds. The lead actress tasked with portraying the obsessive and furiously wronged ghost commits fully to the role and delivers a performance of real intensity and focus. She sells the character's rage and fixation without tipping into camp or caricature, and that commitment gives the film its few genuine moments of power. The supporting cast holds up their end as well, matching her energy and grounding the more scattered narrative choices. Without this level of acting, the film would collapse entirely. Structurally, The Hanged Woman refuses the usual three-act template in a movie. Events arrive out of order, perspectives shift without a clear signaling, and for a significant stretch, the storytelling becomes generally confusing. There is something admirable in the decision to avoid conventional linearity, and by the final act, the pieces do lock into place in a way that feels coherent. The problem is that the confusion is rarely productive. Instead of creating productive disorientation or deepening the sense of a haunted mind, the featured structure often just feels messy and poorly managed. Viewers are left waiting for the film to justify its own opacity, and while it eventually does, the journey there is more frustrating rather than rewarding. While the film is confusing in the last act, it does all come back together and make sense. The two most damaging flaws sit straight at the heart of the experience. First are the singing scenes. They are not merely weak, they are actively embarrassing, poorly staged, awkwardly performed, and completely at odds with the darker material surrounding them. These sequences stop the film dead and make the entire production feel cheaper and more amateurish than it otherwise is. They undercut whatever tension the film has managed to generate and leave a lasting impression of tonal inconsistencies. Second, and more fatal for a ghost story, is the near total absence of a creepy atmosphere. For a narrative built on domestic betrayal, suicide, and vengeful return, the movie generates almost no dread, no lingering unease, and no genuine sense of a house that has become poisoned by the dead. Tension remains thin throughout. The scares, such as they are, never land with force. The film simply drifts along looking pretty while failing to unsettle in any meaningful way. The Hanged Woman is a mixed bag that leans more heavily towards disappointment than success. Strong sensual acting and a willingness to play with narrative structure cannot rescue the soft tone the movie has. The also including the dreadful music interludes, the glaring lack of atmosphere, and the overall sense that the film is embarrassed by the very genre it claims to occupy. So my review for this movie is a straight down the middle 2.5 out of 5. It remains watchable in a limited intermittent intermittent way, but is ultimately a toothless and underwhelming entry that never earns the revenge it spends so much so much time promising. So as I said, I gave this movie a 2.5 out of 5. It's an okay one-time watch. If you see this movie on streaming services, it's a good one-time watch. So if you like this sort of content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more upcoming horror movie reviews in the future. Peace.